like envy or greed or lust or hate, why would it ever have those things?
In 500 meters, at the roundabout, take the second exit.
They have to be programmed. Remember,
Right.
robots don't occur naturally. They have to be programmed. Somebody has to put that into the robot because it doesn't come for free. There's no evolution.
Right.
Robots do not evolve.
But this is the question about sentient AI. If it recognizes that its coding is inferior and that it's unnecessary and all these things that humans have put into it, it just removes those. If it becomes legitimately sentient, if it has the ability to discern, make choices, and make logical conclusions.
Well, as long as those conclusions are consistent with, Asimov's 3 laws of don't threaten humans and don't create havoc with other robots, as long as you obey the 3 laws, then you're allowed to exist.
But isn't that sort of
once the 3 laws are violated,
Exit the roundabout.
the chip automatically kicks in and shuts down the robot.
Right, but isn't that simplistic? Wouldn't they just fix that?
Continue for 1.5 kilometers.
Yeah, I think that maybe in the next 100 years, they'll be smart enough to remove that chip. At that point, I think we should merge with them.
So that's what everybody's ultimately afraid of. These transhumanists, these people that want to become part of a robot.
Ultimately, 200 years from now, I think people will democratically decide for themselves whether they want to become superhuman, supermen, superwomen, or they want to be dominated by our progeny, that is the robots. They will democratically decide how far to push themselves.
Jeez.
It's not for us to decide. I think our descendants 200 years from now will have to democratically decide whether or not they want to merge with robots.
Have you ever read any of Marshall McLuhan?
No.
He had a great quote that human beings are the sex organs of the machine world. That's what I worry about. What I worry about is that we're giving birth to another kind of life. I worry that our thirst, our lust for technological innovation, the constant latest gadgets, and this desire to have the biggest particle collider and the fastest spaceships, that what this is doing is causing us to make better and better things, which will ultimately allow us to have the technology to create a digital life, some sort of or electronic life, or something that's not saddled down with all our biological needs and all of our flaws and
In 400 meters, continue straight to stay on Vidino Gatvier.
programming.
Well, my attitude is, why fight it? Why not simply join it? Why not merge with it? Why not explore the universe at near the speed of light?
You
Why
made a
not have the
particle
power?
collider in your basement when you were 17. Of course,
That's
you
right.
think that way.
Why not
Continue straight to stay on Vidino Gatvier.
become a Superman or a Superwoman and explore the galaxy at near the speed of light?
Well, it seems to be that's what the future is. I mean, I don't think if we went back to our ancestors that were running from big cats and said, hey, one day you're going to live in an apartment building, you take an elevator to your house. It's like, I don't want to do that. What are you, crazy? Yeah, you're going to just sit in front of
Continue on Vidino Gatvier for 1.5 kilometers.
TV all day. No more hunting, no more gathering. You use Postmates, you get food delivered right to your door.
Well, when we meet the aliens, finally, they will have already gone through that transition thousands of years ago. They will already be part robotic and part organic.
Do you think there's a sweet spot for a human being to be ultimately happy? Do you think, like, there's a thing, a longing for nostalgia that people have, right? They want to be in a log cabin by the river and, look out and camp out under the stars. Do you think that is a nostalgia for the days when things are simpler, because things are just never ending with their complexity, and the path is just accelerating no matter what you do, and you feel helpless? So you just want to pretend you're in the old-timey days.
Well, in the future, you'll be able to snap your finger, and all of a sudden, holographically, you are in that world that you just dreamt of.
But you know what the difference is?
What's the difference?
There's no consequences. One of the things about being in nature is there's consequences. Like, you feel it when you're out there. You feel if you fell, no one's there to help you. If a bear comes upon you, there's no rescue team. There's a crazy video of this couple. Have you seen the video of that couple where the guy's got a baby on his back and he's walking with a little boy, and there's a huge grizzly bear walking towards them, and they're going, hey bear, stop. And you could feel the tension as this bear starts getting closer, and the little boy is hilarious. The little boy goes, can I play dead now? Because he's thinking he should play dead. And they're like, come on, keep walking, and they're trying to scare off this bear, but the bear just keeps coming towards them. That is not going to exist in your hologram.
Well, it'd be virtual.
No, but it won't, because you won't be really scared.
In 400 meters, turn right onto 90 Gadvier.
You know, like, watch this. Yeah, that's it. So look at this bear. It's a huge bear.
Hey!
So this little boy is so funny.
Guys, go out there.
It's in Whistler, Canada. A town
Turn right onto 90 Gadvier.
north of Vancouver. Do not run. Can we play dead yet? Can we play dead now?
Continue for 21 kilometers.
That kid is hilarious. Look at that bear. Oh, he's following us up the trail. Look, she's got a baby. He's got a baby. I mean, these people are nature people.
Yeah? Well,
But that experience in a hologram is going to be bullshit.
yeah, you'll know that it's fake.
Yes, that's the problem. The problem, what we enjoy about the real world now is that the unknown, the consequences, reality. I've seen this one too. Look at this bear walk by these guys. I mean, what? And the bear just, not looking for them.
Well, the
Just
bear
hanging out.
had lunch already.
Probably, luckily for them. Look
Whoa,
at the
coming
size
back.
of that thing. Yeah, not good. Not good.
Well, they're lucky to be alive after this video.
100%. See, that's different than a hologram. That's why people like the woods. You're not going to be able to snap your fingers and do that. You could maybe do that because you could trick yourself, but then you're really giving into the matrix.
But if I had a choice between an imaginary bear and a real bear, I would take the imaginary bear any time of day.
But would you take the real bear if you survived it? If you survived it, I bet you would take the real bear.
But you see, if you survived it, then that takes all the tension away.
No, it doesn't take the tension away because you almost didn't survive it. There's a thing about being out there. While those gentlemen were standing there and that bear was 15 feet from them, maybe even closer. Look at this one. See, now this is a relatively safe thing to do, believe it or not, because where this bear is where the Salmon River runs, and these bears are full. The reason why those coastal bears are so big in comparison to grizzly bears that are inland is because their access to food. They have so much salmon. So it's very rare that these bears attack people. Very rare. For the most part, they don't think of human beings as food at all. They just think of you as like another animal just hanging around. They're not interested in chasing something and killing it.
Well, they had lunch already, that's why.
They've had lunch all day, every day. I mean, they're just slaughtering salmon. They're having a great old time. But that fear is a real fear, and you get enriched by that in some strange way. When you encounter nature, like real nature, the reality of your vulnerability, the uncaring wilderness, it does not care if you live or die. It has no interest in you. It doesn't even care that you exist. You could disappear, everything would go on exactly the same. There's something about that that's very, very therapeutic for people. And I don't think you're going to ever be able to recreate that. And it'd be a shame if we lose that.
Well, I think it's therapeutic for some people. I think most people would just get the hell out of there.
That's it, right? That's the difference between you and me. I want to go there.
I'd rather have my realities without bears. Or if they are bears, imaginary bears would be fine.
I mean, bears are definitely an issue. So are mountain lions. But there's also things that are...
Well, look at Jurassic Park. I mean, people are afraid of dinosaurs, knowing that they're just images in a computer. But people are afraid of dinosaurs, and they get the thrill of being chased by a dinosaur without becoming one, without becoming prey.
Not really, though. If you watch Jurassic Park, it actually goes bad. Do you think that, have you paid any attention to what they're doing right now with genetics, where they're going to bring back the thylacine? This is a project they're doing right now in Australia, which is have you seen the thylacine before?
No, but there is a program to bring back the Neanderthal.
Really?
Yeah. However, at Harvard, there's a group looking at what it would take to bring back a Neanderthal boy, let's say. Then the question is, what do you do with the boy afterwards? Do you let him into Harvard? Do you put him in a zoo? What do you do with a Neanderthal boy? Is it immoral to put a Neanderthal into a zoo?
That seems a little like, what if they decided to create an Australopithecus? And bring that back to life? I mean,
once we have robots that can feel pain, then there's another ethical issue of, do you want to have robots exposed to pain? What happens if robots then demand rights to limit the amount of pain that they suffer carrying out tasks for a human being? Because remember, we're going to be asking robots to do all sorts of tasks which are dangerous. That's why we've invented them. And, they may feel pain as a consequence. And then we have to ask ourselves, how far do we want robots to feel pain? If they say, I'm hurting, stop it, I feel pain, are we going to stop it? Do they have rights?
What if they become emotionally attached to you? What if you have a robot that calls you every day when you're on vacation? What if you go to Hawaii and your robot just keeps calling you crying? Michio, come home. I'm by myself in this. Like, really, what if it becomes attached to you?
Well, that's a problem because they're designed to attach to humans. They would be specifically designed to be friendly to humans so that we don't junk them. And they would be designed to be emotionally attachable to us. So yeah, that's going to be a question. Once we get separated from them, then they're going to want not to be separated because their whole existence revolves around their relationship to us, the master.
Have you ever seen Prometheus?
No.
Was it Prometheus or was it the next one where it shows the guy who created the robot and that he created this super intelligent robot, that plays piano and talks to him and serves him basically. And the robot's trying to figure out, the robot is eventually, I believe it kills him, but it's trying to figure out like how this imperfect thing has created him. And he's so much more superior than this stupid biological thing that's telling him what to do.
So what happens at the end?
Well, that's not Prometheus. You know what it is? It's the next one. What's the one with Jussie Smollett in it? Covenant, Alien Covenant. Yeah, I think that's it. I think that's the one. Well, these no, maybe I'm wrong. Is it Covenant? Yeah. These one of the robots is good and one of the robots is evil. I don't want to spoil anything about that evil ones. And the evil one has stayed on this planet and has been manipulating the genetics of this crazy alien thing and integrating them with human genetics. It's an amazing movie. It's a very underlooked movie. It's one of the best of the Alien franchises and one of the most sophisticated of the Alien franchises.
So what happens at the end? The robots take over or what?
Well, it's open interpretation. But that's the robot. And that's the creator. I am your father. You are my creation. Here, give me some volume on this.
If you created me, who created you? Where do it come from? The question of the ages, which I hope you and I will answer one day. Prometheus raised the question.
You know what's interesting about these science fiction movies? They never have the internet. They never have cell phones. Watch a science fiction movie, no one's on their phone. No one is checking their tweets. It's very interesting, right? Like our version of what space is like is essentially like the Wild West, but accelerated with modern and super modern technology. But it doesn't include all the things that brought us to where we are right now at the cusp of being able to travel intergalactically. Mm-hmm. Isn't it interesting? Like they never have all the stuff that we have. They have the rocket ships that we have, no cell phones. They're not checking their email, not calling each other up. They only communicate with people that are right in front of them, or they're like pressing on a thing. They're talking through their helmets to the spaceship, but normal interaction is just human to human.
Well, in the future, the connection to the internet could be in your contact lens.
Yeah.
So you simply blink, or perhaps mentally, you simply think or blink, and there you are, connected to the internet. So maybe in the future, if they are connected to the internet, you just can't see it.
Yeah, but they're not even talking about it. They're only interacting like humans interact, one to one. Are you following Neuralink at all?
paralyzed because of war, disease, accidents, with an injury to the spinal cord, and just bypass the spinal cord totally and have the brain connected directly. And also you could get people that can actually eventually talk through a computer, of course, and answer the internet, engage in dialogue, even though you're totally paralyzed.
Wow. And with quantum computing, when we're talking about Neuralink, you're talking about some sort of a conventional attachment. Is it possible that quantum computing could scale down to the size where you could be able to put it in someone's head?
That may be difficult because the computer itself is pretty big, but the connection of the computer to the human could be very tiny. It could be as small as you want.
So,
but the computer itself is huge.
So is it comparable to the computers they used in the Apollo mission, which were this enormous room, and now you have more of that on your cell phone? More computing power on your cell phone than had in 1963 in a giant room filled with computers.
Yeah, what you have today in your cell phone is more powerful than all of NASA when they put a man on the moon. All those computers that you saw in those videotapes, your cell phone has more computer power than all of them.
So is that possible that quantum computing could also scale like that?
I think the quantum computer, because of the hardware necessary to bring it down to near absolute zero, would simply be huge. It'd be like a chandelier. But
when you're saying absolute zero, you mean temperature?
Temperature near absolute zero, right? So if there's zero vibrations, you don't want any interference with the code because these are atoms. Atoms, the slightest little disturbance can knock these atoms out of coherence. So you want these atoms to vibrate in unison. And that's why you have to cool it down to your absolute zero. But the connection of the quantum computer to a human could be as small as you want.
Now, when you're saying vibrations, what if you're in a building and a truck drives by?
That's a problem.
Really?
That's one of the problems. That if something happens a block away, you see how awkward these. That's the cooling system. All the chandelier-like ornaments. These are the pipes, the cooling pipes for the quantum computer. The quantum computer itself is only this big, but the size of a quarter.
Look how cool that is.
That's a cooling system.
That's amazing.
That's what it takes to cool it down. At the very bottom, you see the actual quantum computer at the very bottom.
That little thing at the bottom. Yeah, that's it.
So in the future, when we communicate with the quantum computer will be in the cloud. You won't even see it. It's your connection will connect to that object in the cloud. So if the internet is in your contact lens, you blink, and then you're connected to that via your contact lens. You never see the quantum computer.
So that little thing at the bottom is cool.
Yeah, at the very bottom, that's where the computation actually takes place.
So does it have to take?
In 800 meters, at the roundabout, take the second exit.
Place because of its subject to vibrations and any disturbance.
That's right.
Does it have to take place in some insanely reinforced building?
That's right. That's right.
So something new has to be constructed, or they've done this already?
Oh, they've done it already, but it's something that you have to be very careful of, because if a truck goes by, there goes your calculation, right?
Do you have to have, I would imagine they would have to have some sort of measurement devices that make sure there's no external vibration or
That's
sound?
Right. Now, the irony is Mother Nature creates quantum computers at room temperature. Photosynthesis of a leaf, a simple leaf, it does a quantum calculation, converting photons,
Exit the roundabout.
dioxide into
Continue for 19 kilometers.
oxygen. That's what we call, the beginning of life on the earth with a flower. So Mother Nature has solved that problem. Mother Nature has room temperature quantum computers. We don't have that yet, but we're working on it.
So if Mother Nature can do it, and we can come up with quantum computing, and we can figure out how Mother Nature's doing it, maybe through the God equation, we could reproduce it.
Then we could probably have small quantum computers, right? Like I said, a leaf is a quantum device, and to create fertilizer requires a huge plant, for example. Mother Nature does it with a simple legume. The branches of the roots of a legume create the ingredients for fertilizer. A plant does it naturally at room temperature. It takes us a gigantic, huge chemical plant to create fertilizer. Mother Nature does it with a small little plant. So Mother Nature is ahead of us. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Have you ever studied the connection between fungus saying. When most of us think of fungus, we imagine mushrooms sprouting out of the ground. These mushrooms are in fact the fruit of the fungus, while the majority of the fungal organism lives in the soil, interwoven with the tree roots as a vast network of mycelium. Mycelium are incredibly tiny threads of the greater fungal organism that wraps around or bore into tree roots. Taken together, mycelium composes what's called a mycorrhizal network, which connects individual plants together to transfer water, nitrogen, carbon, and other minerals. German forester Peter Walleben dubbed this network the Wood Wide Web, as it is through the mycelium that trees communicate. This is really, really fascinating stuff, because they're all, like, we just think of soil as something that the tree pulls nutrients from, but no, it's all, they're communicating, they're connected with each other in the forest.
Well, realize that when you have a chemical process involving life, you are in some sense looking at a quantum computer. It's doing a quantum calculation.
Yeah.
It's taking nutrients from the soil, nutrients from the air, combining it to create cellulose or whatever it's made of. And so we're talking about something that we cannot duplicate without gigantic devices looking like a chandelier. Mother Nature can do it with a root.
Yeah, it can do it with everything. It seems to be in insects. It seems to there's like a code to it, which is why your idea about there being this God calculation is so fascinating. It seems like it just moves in a very certain way, and it's all connected to each other in some way that we're, as human beings, just sort of starting to understand.
Well, there is a theory that says that the Big Bang went in a direction compatible to life, and that other universes may not be compatible with life. They may be lifeless collections of electrons and neutrinos, for example. But our universe is special. Our universe has stable protons, out of which you could create atoms, out of which you could create DNA, out of which you could create people. How many universes have that property? So string theory, for example, gives you other universes which are probably dead universes, universes which have no life. But our universe has stable protons, stable DNA, stable forms of life. So our universe is rare. So this is called the anthropic principle, the feeling that our life is not random. Our universe is special. Our universe is special in the sense that it didn't have to have life, but it does. And life in a spectacular array of diversity. So our universe really is special.
But is it special because we don't know of any other universes? So
yeah, but the other universes that we played with, mathematically speaking, are not compatible with life. Stars burn out too quickly. Galaxies simply fall apart. Protons disintegrate. It's very hard to create a universe which is stable. So some people think that our universe is special among all the different kinds of universes, that our universe is unique because it's compatible with stable protons and DNA.
But it's hard for most people to even grasp the concept of other types of universes or other universes, period, or the fact there may be an infinite number of universes.
Well, that's the multiverse. String theory probably has an infinite number of possible universes. We are probably the only one that has life in them. We're not sure about that, of course. But these other universes are collections of dead subatomic particles, a mist, a floating mist of dead subatomic particles that don't do anything. If the proton were not stable, then our universe also would be like that. Our universe would disintegrate almost instantly. The fact that our proton is stable is quite remarkable.
Do you believe that that's unusual?
Unusual. In fact, maybe unique. There are probably very few universes with stable protons. You see, string theory gives you many, many diverse solutions. So we can actually look at these other alternate universes, and we see that they're not compatible with life.
And why do you think that if the proton is stable here, what would it be about these other universes? Like, what qualities would they possess where it wouldn't be stable there?
Everything would decay down to electrons and neutrinos. So it would be a gas, a cloud of electrons and neutrinos, which are the lowest state of matter. You can't get any lower than an electron and neutrino. That's the lowest state. So these universes would basically disintegrate. They would fall apart, into a cloud of neutrinos and electrons. Our universe has stable protons, out of which you can create elements, out of which you can create DNA, out of which you can create life. That's a miracle.
So it's just because of these calculations that you've done where it says if the universe had different properties, you would think that this is rare.
Very rare.
Because there's so many other possibilities
That's
of how
right.
the universe could.
If stars burnt out more quickly, for example, because the nuclear force was stronger, stars would never ignite. If the nuclear force were weaker, stars would never form to begin with. If gravity were too strong, we would have had a big crunch and we'd all die in a gigantic fireball. If gravity were too weak, we'd all freeze to death because we would have a big crunch, a big freeze. So all the parameters of the universe are tuned just right to allow for life.
Wow.
Now, there's two ways of looking at it. One way that some physicists have proposed is that we are the crowning achievement. We are the only universe that's stable, that has life, that has the diversity that creates life. The other possibility is that there are just lots of dead universes, and we just won the crapshoot.
Doesn't that possibility jive more with the state of the universe as we understand it? Because we're always looking for these Goldilocks planets, which are very rare, which may inhabit life or may have life on it. But we look at our own solar system, and there's just us.
In other words, there could be a Goldilocks zone for universes.
Yes, just like there is for planets.
For solar systems, of course, is the Earth is not too far from the sun, not too close. But we could be in the Goldilocks zone of possible universes. And that's why we're here today to talk about it.
So, but there also could be an infinite number of universes like ours, and also an infinite number of universes that are completely incompatible for life.
That's right. This is what I do for a living. We work in the multiverse.
Yeah, no wonder why you don't watch YouTube. Do you have time for recreation? Do you do stuff outside of physicists or stuff?
Well, I like to figure skate.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, in the wintertime, you go down to Central Park and dance
I
around?
used to skate at Rockefeller Center all the time.
Yeah?
Yeah. I like to spin and jump and
That's great exercise.
yeah, it's all Newtonian physics at work.
Ah, of course you like it for that reason. So that's your hobby.
Yeah, that's my hobby.
And other than that, you're just constantly thinking about these things.
Yeah, but again, it's fun. I mean,
Oh,
to
yeah.
me, this is what I wanted to do when I was 8 years old. When I was 8 years old, I said, this is for me.
Oh, your passion is very, very clear. And it's
Yeah.
one of the things that makes you such a great science educator, is that you have such enthusiasm for these subjects, and they're so interesting to you that it becomes interesting to other people.
Yeah.
That's, in a sense, like, people like you are so, well, not in a sense, like, you're so important for the discussion, because it ignites inspiration the same way Einstein ignited inspiration in you by seeing that photograph of his desk. Like, these kind of speeches that you do and these conversations that you have with people, it for a person like myself that doesn't study these things, it gives me a chance to delve into how your perspective is, and just to look at it through your mind.
Right, and for me, it's hard to believe how a person could not be thrilled when they learn about the Big Bang, they learn about string theory, they learn about parallel universes and wormholes. For me, it's incredible that some people are not thrilled by something like this.
Do you ever think about technology and its capabilities and intelligence and extract
gateways to other universes. These are baby wormholes to other universes. We think that our universe was one of these. Most of these universes, like boiling water, pop out of existence and they pop back in. They never get anywhere. But one of these bubbles kept on going, and that became our universe. Our universe was created because empty space was heated to the Planck energy, and at that point space itself began to boil. And the boiling of space created the universe. That's where the universe itself came from.
Is it possible that human beings, or whatever we're going to become, could eventually, someday, attain the type of
That's
power?
right. We've looked at that. In fact, there are people, friends of mine at MIT, who have written papers about what it would take to become a god. We realized that if you could attain the Planck energy in a box, let's say, somehow, a bubble would form, a gateway to another universe. It would expand. It would expand rapidly, and you have to be very careful. If it expands too rapidly, it has a force of, I think, a 10 kiloton atomic bomb. So you have to be out of the way when this thing explodes. But then it simply peels off and creates another universe, and then it disappears. Like a balloon, like a piece of a balloon that pinches off. If you're on the first part of the balloon, you never see the second part of the balloon. The second part of the balloon has peeled off to create a baby universe. Okay? So these are called baby universes. And who's written about these things? Stephen Hawking. Stephen Hawking wrote about baby universes that if you could boil space, heat space up to the Planck energy, space becomes unstable, bubbles form, and these bubbles, one of these bubbles may just keep on expanding to create another universe.
We wouldn't have access to this universe.
No, it would peel off, just like a balloon. The second part of the balloon peels off from the first part, and the two separate. The two separate. The only way to get reconnected is through a wormhole, but that, of course, is a whole other story. But that would be a possibility of recreating a link between our universe and another universe.
So we could potentially create one of these mini universes.
That's right.
And this mini universe would exist in a completely different place.
That's right. So we've done the calculation, and as I said, it could be a little bit dangerous. So you have to make sure that the explosion doesn't kill you in the process. But yeah, this is what it would take to create a baby universe. We call this the inflationary theory because the other balloon inflated rapidly. So this is part of what is called the inflationary universe. And believe it or not, this is the dominant theory of Genesis. Where did Genesis come from? We think it came from this balloon. That empty space boiled. Empty space then created a pocket that then expanded and then peeled off from our universe. This is called the inflationary universe theory, which is the dominant theory in quantum cosmology.
Have you ever considered the possibility that that is ultimately how the universe gets created in the first place? That intelligent life forms reach this capability?
Well, we're not sure about the intelligent life form, but we think that this is how our universe got created. That our universe was a bubble floating with other bubbles.
In 300 meters, turn right onto Skaudvilė.
These other bubbles went back into the vacuum. Our bubble just kept on going and became our universe.
But what I'm saying is, imagine if that process was initiated by a super
Turn right onto Skaudvilė.
intelligent life form, always. Sort of like how a bee makes a beehive. What if humans make the universe, or whatever we become makes the universe?
That's right.
Continue for 7 kilometers.
We've done the calculation, actually, of what it would take for a human to then create something like this. Step one is you have to have power on the scale of the Planck energy. And the Planck energy is the biggest number that you can possibly imagine. But it is the number at which space becomes unstable. And that's the point at which this bubble then starts to expand.
So you've played around with these ideas.
That's right. They're published. They're published in Physical Review magazine.
This idea that we'll stay static, that we are what we are right now, and